Hi chat, thank you for being here. I appreciate your support on the video and on the channel, and thank you for interacting with me. Back to do an update on the daily readings for the 12 houses. So this is part 2, starting in the 6th house, which is Virgo's house. We'll also head to, well, my intention is to make it to the 5th house, Leo's house, the 4th house, Cancer's house, 3rd house, Gemini's house, 2nd house, Taurus, and the 1st house is Aries. So we'll start out here. We're doing a short-term energy reading just to see the trajectory and the way energy is moving through the houses. And I'm going to try to abstractly, objectively, to the best of my ability, just describe some framework so that if the reading resonates, you can lay your individual storyline, your unique storyline to that format, to that framework. So, for an example, roughly speaking, to roughly just describe the framework, it looks like there is a deadline within some divine timing embodied here with the magician. To me, that comes into the reading, talking about things coming into alignment with divine timing, ready for miracles and manifestation to take place. But there seems to be, well, for a particular collective in the 6th house for Virgo, there seems to be some misalignment. Potentially, it looks like some delays and frustration because it looks like you might be regrouping, recalibrating, thinking about something where you're not quite sure if you want to invest in it further, nurture it further, or cut your losses and walk away. So it's like as you should be, or feeling like you probably were headed into alignment with something. It looks like you're taking some time to consider it, which way to go. Stress, in regard to, see here, looking at this 9 of Swords, which technically the 9 of Swords is not in the 3rd placement. This deck kind of started falling apart before it got to the 3rd placement. But I'm not really sure about that. If this is the embodiment that's in the 3rd placement, which is in the near future, then it does give me some pause as the reader too, because it almost suggests here's a delay here as described, potentially, because hey, who knows how long this consideration will take before you move it into this magician energy where there's divine timing, etc. Because this is a major arcana and it's the culmination of minor arcana energies, which are decisions made within one's free will. It's, I interpret it to be over our heads, in the hands of the universe and the divine. So it kind of feels static, and regardless to this minor arcana, how long this might take or not, it could render maybe needing to repeat a karmic lesson, a karmic pattern. So having the 7 of Cups on this side of this energetic embodiment, this transformative energy, having the 9 of Swords and the 7 of Cups on this side, potentially the High Priestess is at the top of the deck there too. So kind of feels like there could be a delay and some missed opportunity, or at least not being able to maximize on the potential that should have been available. So let's see. I need to continue to work on this, but that's what I'm looking at so far. Okay, so those confirmations on the table, they do resonate with the first reading, especially because, wow, the high priestess dropped out. I was getting the magician here to clarify the magician, so the fact that it clarified itself and it gave me the high priestess too, which was on the table, but it was energy on the bottom of the deck, so it was kind of esoteric and subjective whether or not I wanted to take it. But for me as the reader, it definitely belonged there. However, anyhow, there is a clarifier. And then here is some additional information as far as what is reflected and, what was the delay. Like, it seems like there's a reconsideration going forward. And so as far as getting some additional information as to what that is, the Three of Pentacles added the additional information that there's some obstructive interference. It seems like the obstructive interference was not initially part of the plan or part of the equation. So the formula that they were considering moving forward and having this sense of success and abundance and the divine timing and alignment, here it looks like there's some obstructive interference. And the more that I move on and seeing that high priestess drop out of the deck like that, yeah, it confirms that there's someone else in the connection that the sixth house is realizing obstructive interference, whereas the Three of Pentacles being there should be optimizing a situation, improving the situation, but it appears to be obstructive. Context is everything here. So the Four of Pentacles here, clarifying this position with the Nine of Swords there, is talking about holding back, not wanting to invest in that situation, feeling that they would be overextending themselves at their own expense with that in mind. And of course, too, it feels that there is not enough time. Like, this information appeared while moving forward, it looks like most likely with momentum, so there was a lack of time to probably assess what that obstructive interference is, a lack of time. That's what it felt like there was initially before the additional cards were pulled. It felt like, yeah, there was something about this timing and some frustration because it felt like there wasn't enough time to really want to consider, to analyze, to take that time to think about it too long. They needed to move forward and be in time and be in sync, and then there was a loss of potential, it felt like, so I can't even say like a missed opportunity because it almost feels more like a dodged bullet. And yeah, it's kind of like in what a dodged bullet, though, you have to say, because there's not enough information to, like they said, to even determine or to weigh, like, is this good or is this bad? Could this be improved? Should I cut my losses? Almost through lack of options, it by default, it gives an option. And the best thing to do probably is let that one go because, yeah, Four of Pentacles, feeling like overextending oneself at their own expense. Okay. Okay, so I do want to pull another spread because of the way the deck fell apart, but for sure that's a completed message, so I'll go ahead and put a pin in that. One thing I noticed too, which was interesting, is when that high priestess fell out of the deck, indicating that there was likely a third party situation, somebody else in the equation. Usually I mean, it's not unusual to see a strong prominence of an empress around somewhere, but there was more like high priestess energy and magician energy than couldn't really detect high pronunciations of the empress or an emperor. So it almost suggests like if there is obstructive interference as described, highly likely that there are all like kind of dating basically, like kind of all on the same frequency as far as dating. Nothing serious at the moment. Whereas like an emperor and empress gives more of a definite ingrained presence, not one easily detangled from the dynamic. I didn't really notice that there, and I thought that was interesting. Okay, hi chat. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate your support on the channel and on the video. And I'll be right there in just a moment. The first priority is to get through the remaining 6 houses in the general reading. So thank you for your support to do that. So yeah, I wanted to just, because that's a clear reading, I'll go ahead and put a pin on it for sure. I want to recheck to see if there's anything else or if it will be a reiteration in the new spread. Wow. Oh my goodness. I feel like going to pull some more cards about it. However, everything is on the table and I couldn't really feel which deck to move to at that moment. So I came over here to let's read this together here. Oh guys, so it feels like a continuation actually, but it's like, okay, it's actually within the same timing because I do short-term energy readings. So like I circle here with my little my little hand, like it's the same timing because I do short-term energy readings. Here's the end of the page to make room, leave room for prayers, intercessions, adjustments for you, for those who this may resonate with, to be the author of your destiny. And I also recently realized I was missing adding in that statement, that disclaimer, to leave things as it is. Sometimes that's what is seen best to do because this is an energy reading looking at the trajectory of the way energy is moving, So, yeah, sure, the information available, if it resonates, gives us time to maybe make some adjustments and some changes, but sometimes the resonance is just as it, you might want it to be, indicating that there's no change needed. Just hold on and maintain your position. So anyhow, but you as the viewer, if it resonates, that would be your subjective choice. So here, the Five of Pentacles. Okay, so before we seen that it looked like there was a question and there was some stress and concern in regard to the timing and being in sync with divine timing, not one's own personal timeline. Yeah, I was trying to explain that major arcanas are kind of establishing a static, a permanence of divine timing. And whereas the minor arcana, the energy that we're dealing with within our own free will, is our timing. So having this, this high priestess premonition, feeling that this delay, this pause, this desire to reflect and maybe measure and figure something out wasn't going to be enough time to also maintain divine timing, so that's the diagram that we were looking at before. And then it was looking as if it was a confirmation that sure enough, if something was going to be out of alignment, there was going to be some frustration, and it looked like regret, in regard to that. And also multiple, it was confirmations of major arcana indicating that multiple people were in the dynamic that could likely be obstructive interferences to the plan anyway, etc. We just went through the reading a moment ago. So this new spread that's developed, it's in the same timing, but it's giving an impression, showing if and when the current Virgo or someone's in Virgo's energy releases that, cuts it off. It was the pinnacle bush that would suggest, do I nurture this? And if I decide to nurture it, how can I nurture it to be more successful, etc.? Or should I cut it off? Should I just cut my losses here? So this is showing a diagram in the same framework, if and when Virgo or someone in Virgo's energy went ahead and released it and cut losses. And so the clarifier is the Nine of Pentacles, which is a very beautiful, surreal environment here. So it's a confirmation that cutting the loss would actually be a sense of relief and putting you back in sync with your divine timing, as had been described. The Five of Pentacles is, we were looking at, I'm like, pause, period, hold on, let me back up a bit. And the other spread, we were looking at the Four of Pentacles, and we described, holding back because feeling like overextending yourself would be at your own expense. So that's the Four of Pentacles, a sense of lack, some anxiety, feeling like you might not have enough. But it's also the embodiment that you're pinching what you have and being very grateful and having the ability to flip pennies into dollars, negatives into positives. But there's a sense of lack in the Four of Pentacles. So the Five of Pentacles is in its sequential order to be the next Pentacle card. And here you feel very wealthy because you've just went through and gone through the Four of Pentacles, feeling that lack, which is very intense and uncomfortable. But me personally, if and when I feel like I'm in the Four of Pentacles, I can't even afford to reflect on how tight things are. You just got to be grateful. You live on gratitude every second. But anyway, when you get into the Five of Pentacles, you feel very, very wealthy and very fortunate and very abundant. Because if you can flip negatives and you can stretch a penny into some dollars, then if you have more than that, even a little more, you're in heaven, you're in bliss, you're in paradise, you're a millionaire type energy is what you feel like. And that's what's being described here. Cutting losses. The Five of Pentacles is described as weathering a storm on your own, being a lone wolf, so to speak, but very capable with those Five of Pentacles, having everything that you need as described. So moving forward into the embodiments that are transformative, and they are major arcanas as described. The Magician, which was talking about things coming into perfect divine timing and alignment, is clarified with the 13 major arcana, aka the Death card. It points to the 8th house, too, a very spiritual house, by the way, and governs a lot of other symbolic things. But let's look at the Death card, the 13 major arcana. The way I usually see it is purging blockages, removing obstacles from the current's path so that energies more conducive can come toward them in the near future. And the Six of Pentacles is a very beautiful pinnacle card. And I'm just starting to notice the sequential order that's on the table and has made appearances in different spreads from different decks. So that's given me confirmation of resonance. So we're looking at the Four of Pentacles in the previous spread over here. We're looking at the Five of Pentacles here in the first position and the Six of Pentacles there. So you're looking at progression of increase, a lot more stability. The Six of Pentacles has a charitable type of energy, and it's a minor arcana, so it's like one of the most beautiful pinnacle cards that you can get. It embodies support. It's like your prayers being answered, a good time to get like grants, your everything that you need, coming towards you, even if it feels like out of a cloud, just out of thin air. It's a really beautiful energy to be in. And so now looking at this being clarified with the Eight of Swords, I was like, wow, that is so cool. I don't think I've seen that card combination like this. I don't know when the last time I did, but because this is locked in. This is locked in. And I call it a self-obligatory card where somebody is like a self-imposed imprisonment where somebody can choose to let go. They can choose to walk out. But in context, when I looked at it, I looked at it and naturally I was concerned, like, what is that there for? But then I realized again what it's clarifying, the Six of Pentacles. Oh yeah, definitely lock in there. You're gonna want to lock in there, and you're gonna need to, because look at what you've gone through, and having the Nine of Pentacles clarify that. But this is really beautiful because it's the Five of Pentacles, and it's kind of like a psychological, if you look at the cup half empty, half full, somebody being very optimistic and in truth being grateful and abundant in their gratitude. But so yeah, they're deciding to cut losses in this diagram, and then there's a universal divine embodiment here to assist with purging. So it's almost as if, yes, complementary, like, okay, almost like you made the right decision back here, almost like God bless you, you made the right decision. So and you get to maintain your divine timing, and there's also a blessing, and it's really, I feel like that's really beautiful. Okay, wow, guys. Well, could go on and on and on that way too. I was gonna say, I hope I was okay with translating what I see there. Like in my standard operating procedural equation, I look for the transformative embodiment. It's right there with the Magician and the 13 major arcana, definitely transformative energy there. So then I like to look over here and see the elemental value on the table. Looking at the Five of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, there's a lot of abundance here. Keeping in mind that this Nine of Pentacles is kind of, subjective. It's in the subconscious because it's a clarifier type energy, But there's a lot of abundance. So if we take the Five of Pentacles and we move it through the transformative embodiment and come out with the Six of Pentacles, then clearly you can see an upgrade. You can see an uptick in the value. And the element is the same. It's Pentacles with Pentacles. So there was no diminished value. And then we started off with 5, and now you have 6. So there's an increase there. So that's upward. And then looking at the subconscious, potentially unrealized potential here, right? Because I guess we're looking at two spreads. In the first spread, it looked like there was an opportunity for you to choose which way you wanted to go. Do you want to continue nurturing this, which looks like it could kick you out of alignment, or do you want to cut your losses? But anyhow, so looking here at this energy and taking that same formula and looking at the transformative body here, the 13 major arcana, aka the death. Now, the death card does also have an embodiment that talks about a rebirth. It talks about regeneration. It talks about a new beginning after an end. So there's still potential, regardless what, Virgo or Virgo's person of interest wants to do, you know. For it's like either or. It does not necessarily say, cutting things off is the way to go, because the Five of Pentacles is the lone wolf. It can be an individual feeling like they're outside in the cold weather in a storm on their own, or it could be the two, you and your fellow companions, not even just in a romantic sense. It could be a family here. It could be, a network of, it could be a small business. It's a lot of whatever it could be. So together, if you have the potential to, put your minds together and figure things out and stay in divine timing, because it was meant for you to catch that glitch, and it was meant for you to rethink and recalibrate, and together you guys are able to do that, regroup really fast and move forward and salvage and get your plans together in time, then this is still a good reading. This is still a good reading for that scenario of salvaging and saving versus cutting off and cutting your losses. If you were to cut off your losses, it's still working out. Potentially, I'm trying to give this a rough sketch for the framework for you to put your scenario there. But I said that to say, if we use the equation and we have the Nine of Pentacles here, then we put it through that transformative body, and we come out over here, we don't have pentacles anymore. We're looking at swords. So potentially there is diminished value moving it this way. And then you have the swords. There's a potential diminished value depending on your capabilities and capacity of what you can do. For an example, the Eight of Swords, there's 6 pentacles here. So someone, for an example, can intellectualize and find the data and the information, and there's 6 pentacles that maybe help, bring about realized potential there. Or there's 9 pentacles here moving into 8 swords, and you would have maybe more resources than needed, and you can still have potential to realize. Anyhow, guys, I've tried to roughly sketch this because a formula is a structure for the querent, the observer, the watcher, to put potential, to put the variables in the equation. But that's what I see there. Thank you for taking the time to check it out. So now we're going to move to the next house, which is the 5th house for Leo. Yeah, I wanted to pull some extra cards here, so let's see. Yeah, so those are some good clarifiers. In the first position, it says new love. So, for those connections that are new, and maybe that was, giving some context about the lack of information and the lack of time to figure out if it was intended to go with you or not, towards this transformative embodiment. So new love, we're giving context or affirmations to the two of you could be regrouping, or the organization, the collective, regrouping, restructuring in time to move together through this together as new love. Now the religious factors, I think that that confirms some resonance there, because I was kind of It felt like, yeah, there was a dissonance, like a lack of knowing one another. Religious factors are the hardcore philosophical thought processes, for an example, that could clash, or maybe there's just unfamiliarity there, needing to take some time and learn each other, more. But if there's not the time, it pretty much could point to dissonance in the way that one thinks, that would be obstructive and cause delays or prevent moving in sync and finding oneself in the divine timing as described. Religious factors, maybe that would be something that someone would choose to go ahead and cut it off, because the eighth house, for an example, is a spiritual house that could govern religious factors and spirituality and those type of philosophies. And one, may feel like they want to stand on what they know religiously or spiritually to progress them through and to make it through something transformative, like a death embodiment and or a rebirth embodiment. Oh, I feel like this gives good context for the eighth house reading too. Also, just speaking of that, because that is the eighth house, Scorpio's house, and the death card, it also governs other people's monies, like inheritances and insurances, taxes. When we get to tax season, we may find some more storylines. So I don't want to blindside anybody and throw that out there. Gonna get you prepared. That's what the 13 major arcana deals with too. So religious factors, basically the hardwired, ingrained thought pieces that the group has that could cause, sometimes iron sharpens iron. So having difference of opinions and different religions and different, hard-grained thought pieces is good in a group, because it's like you guys have everything to think outside of the box, to meet all of your challenges. You always got someone, and because there's a collective here. So that's how the Three of Pentacles or obstructive interference, which is typically designed to enhance and optimize the situation. That's one way a group, could have the Three of Pentacles and have a lot of diverse energetic bodies there, but they complement each other, because you might have a issue where, and based on one's thought process, they can only foresee certain outcomes, but then they're like, oh, let's get so and so in here because they're able to see the other side and complement my side. So you're a dynamic duo in that sense. Oh, just wanted to come back. And then of course you deserve love. So again, with this embodiment talking about even out of thin air, miracles possible. What you need just comes out of thin air. But it also suggests that initially it's felt like it's not there. It might feel like it's untapped resources, unrealized support. But here is assurance that the support is there and you deserve it. You deserve love. So that's like a ruling made in your favor. So feeling like in the air and the atmosphere, feeling the judgment card, which is the reconciliation card, feeling hangman, which is the 12th house Pisces, feeling definite 4th house energy, Cancer energy, because we're talking to a certain extent about, especially like religious factors, root and origin stories of one psyche and beginnings, 9th house, Sagittarius's house, the house of higher learning and travel. So there's a lot of energy in the air. Of course, well, hey, I can go on and on. Let me say everybody's here. Everybody is here. Every sign. Thank you for your patience, okay? I'm going to clean up here and prepare us to move to the next house. Some oracle cards here. New love, finances and career. New love, worth waiting for. Pay attention to the red flags, playfulness, and worth waiting for. Hi, chat. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate your support on the video and on the channel. And I appreciate your encouragement, letting me know that the yes or no sessions are something that you guys enjoy for subscribers. And of course, your comments in the chat, if I don't get to it, could help establish some resonance in the general reading. And the Most High knows what we need before we even ask. Now we'll move to the 5th house. So I don't want to spare the opportunity to mention how much prayer is helpful. Prayer, intercession, giving the Most High the opportunity to answer us in our prayer closets. Alright, so Leo. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for the 5th house, aka Leo. Okay, so this was pretty clear reading here. Yikes, I was feeling pay attention to the red flags before we even got that part. But so that clarifier, pay attention to the red flags, is right here. But anyhow, off the top, without any clarifiers, it looked a lot more, what is the word, innocent, harmless. And just that, Leo or someone in Leo's energy field, but it looked very mutual, had found the love, a love interest that was worth moving forward. And the thing about it is, it looks like this movement with a high value, high esteem, thinking that this is the one, it has all the qualities, it checks all the boxes, and it just things really progress real quick and move towards this magician energy, which typically leans towards divine timing and the perfect time to find Mrs. and Mr. Right. So without clarifiers, that's what it looks like, and we'll have to put a pin on that because there's no guarantee to get a clarifier. Clarifiers begin to isolate a storyline and speak to a smaller percentage, relatively speaking, of the collective, and it could also redirect a reading, add additional information, etc. So off the page, it does suggest. And so if you were just to look at what you have on the page, your only thing would be maybe looking right here at, things pick up real quick and then launch into this alignment where you've met Mrs. and or Mrs. Right. It's the perfect timing that's conducive for that. Whether or not the equation, the variables in the equation are truly fitted here, that's potentially questionable. So it's kind of even a learning opportunity too, because matter of fact, today I started to realize, the energies were very much pronounced, letting me know this is like static energy that's stationary. It's like right there. And it's a culmination of the energy from the minor arcana energies that are within our free will on our karmic, on our chapters, on our journey, our free will start to culminate and collectively exhibit and pronounce itself as a major arcana, and it's more the divine energy, it's universal energy, it's above our head. So that's static, it's stationary. However, the potentials that move through that, it gives some insight as to whether or not, for an example, there's a missed opportunity depending on what's under here, etc. So having the magician as it has been described, clarified with the Seven of Swords. So the Seven of Swords here points to another multifaceted translation of the magician. Most of the time when I see the magician, it's indicating divine timing and alignment, etc. It's perfect time for the great bang of miracles and manifestations and all these things. Other times it does describe a finesser, someone who's Seven of Swordsy, somebody who could manipulate and gaslight a situation. So this is what we're looking at, is the Seven of Swords right here. But we already have a clarifier here that says pay attention to the red flags. And that red flag alert comes in the first placement. So the first placement is past energy. The second placement is current. And the third placement is future energy. So right here, as we're coming onto the stage, now if you'll notice, there's a lot of value right here. 10 of Pentacles is what has clarified this Knight of Pentacles. So it confirms what was stated when described. Someone is coming onto the stage with a lot of value. They've checked all the boxes here. They're prepared. They're ready for the best outcome for a relationship, where they are suited to support this relationship and have it ascend to a higher level of commitment. The Pentacles are the slowest moving energy in the deck. So it was alarming to potentially see this slow movement. Now the Knight does pick up speed, but to have it just move dynamically into fire, which is very like the fastest energy moving in the deck. That was a little alarming. And rushing in. So pay attention to the red flags, because there's a lot at stake here, a lot of value. So it points to the standard operating procedural equation that I like to refer to. And this is a good one, because I look for transformative embodiments. I look for the most intense transformative embodiments. And it is best seen here in the middle, because then I have something to work with over here and I have something to work with over there. There's potentially two transformative embodiments here, though, so it kind of throws the equation off a bit, where I don't have enough information to really pick up the output so I can judge the value. So I can judge the value and see if it's diminished or if it's increased or something in between. But in a way, because we have a major arcana here crisscross and we have minor arcana here crisscross, it balances itself in a way. So like all of this is transformative. The culmination of transmutation that's taken place there. But anyhow, so we have these pentacles rushing in, and so pay attention to the red flags. The Hermit steps in. So in a way, that causes a hint of a delay. Like things have a tendency to want to rush and get off the ground, but the Hermit suggests, oh, wait a minute. But wait, there's more. Wait a minute. Let's wait a minute. But it almost feels like it's still unmatched. It almost feels like, Hermit, you're no match for me type energy. Nice try type energy. Like you can't really, can this Hermit hold all of that fire? Look at it, almost looks combustible. It almost looks combustible. Like nice try. It might like outsurge the lantern, the lamp in the light might go. I don't know. That's the thing about it. Lights out. Seven of Swords. So pay attention to the red flags. But anyway, that's a rough sketch of what's being seen here. So This is the fifth house that governs relationship, courtships, romance. It's also the house that one would look to a seer and or an astrologer to get information about risky behavior, including risky investments as well as gambling. And it's the house to look at for conception in children concerns. So, like for an example, there has been a running storyline in the fifth house general readings where we've seen that there was a window of opportunity to be abundant and successful in risky behaviors. But then we also seen a tapering off of that window of opportunity, and we had analyzed that and described it pretty good. We had a really, I felt like we had a really good forewarning, about when the window was going to appear, when it was not there. We had a pretty good gauge of diminishing, you know, successful intention or potential versus, okay, guys, it's going to be getting unpredictable, potentially volatile. The information is off the page, so I honestly don't have that to say. We can only kind of start implying based on, the context and what we're looking at here. But basically, it was starting to look quite risky. So here would be a continuation of that storyline, and here you can start to see, indeed, over here is definitely a no. This area here would say it's way too risky. No, no, no. This is way too much of a risk. And over here, it looks like I would say for sure I wouldn't want to go in that direction. Well, there's unrequited love here. And it does look very deceptive because the Queen of Fire is very passionate, charming, a beautiful lover. Shoot. But, you know, red alert. So it's almost looking too risky here. But here, even with the pay attention to the red flags, this looks like a green light, except for, so you see the potential of success is diminished. Pay attention to the red flags, and there's a lot of abundance. It almost seems too overqualified to branch out over here. But there's always that, there's always an exception to the rule. In fact, right over there too. Who knows? You might be holding your Seven of Swords and barely making it through. And especially, that's why I say the Seven of Swords in a romantic reading, a love reading, is it's not the best. I don't like to see the Seven of Swords there. But in an investment, especially if you're like in an investment arrangement where you're not hurting anybody else, it's totally neutral and you're just moving off of your own analytical data and your own responses. Seven of Swords, I would think, is pretty positive. It's more positive than not. But that's let's see here. Subjectively speaking, context is everything. But that's pretty much how I'm seeing the energies move in this house. And so for relationships, for a romance, it also suggests to be picky. Somebody here is ready for a successful relationship, one that ascends to a higher level of commitment. They have everything that it takes to foster a very healthy, good relationship, and to proceed with caution. Carefully vet your options is what that would suggest there. And as far as is there anything else? I don't know. It would also, like, for me, if there is a particular love interest in focus, it almost would say pay attention to the red flags, pay attention to your instincts, because somebody, it feels like there's a mismatch as far as attraction that you could kind of tell, because this person is attractive, this person is, dynamically showing that they're interested, and this one here is more aloof and conservative. So that might be a mismatch, and that might point to unrequited love, like problems in the future. And also, if somebody's able to pick that up, but then so they're not showing they're not showing or exhibiting that they're passionate, that the attraction, that the chemistry is there. But if they're like that and then they want to rush in, like, okay, we found the one, let's, that could be a red flag too. So look in here too, codependency, love yourself first, release your ex. Those are the clarifiers over here. So for an example, hey, why would somebody be kind of cloaked and secretive and someone else is just so available and passionate, and you could tell they have all this value. Both of them have but why? Oh, is there somebody else in the picture? Maybe that's why they don't have all of that to show and to share, because they're spread too thin. Maybe they're still in the vetting process while you're over here in the vetting process, trying to decide. But while they're trying to decide, they want to go ahead and cash in, like, okay, yes, let's make this official. I don't know. Just some examples that could color that a little, that framework. Color that framework. Hopefully I didn't overcolor it too much. So we'll move on to the next house, which is the 4th house, Cancer's house, in just a moment. As far as the Oracle deck, codependency, true love. Forgiving and learning. Codependency, forgiving and learning. Calling in your soulmate, forgiving and learning. Finances and career, forgiving and learning. Getting to know each other, forgiving and learning. And then with that one too, another translation of for reconciliations that could be taking place here. It looks like there's opportunity that's, speaking on forgiving and learning while calling in your soulmate, forgiving and learning. So here it looks like a potential to reconcile in the connection and heal these concepts, getting to know one another and starting to heal the concepts that are coming up. And over there in that third placement, it reminds me that there was release your ex. So if the two are coming together, reconciling their differences, and then there's an ex there that's lingering in the picture, maybe that's the one that's indicated because of this reconciliation. That 7 of Swords indicates that's the link that needs to be purged out of the connection, giving them a chance to get theirs off the ground. So you deserve love, forgiving and learning. Okay, so the Cancer could have some cusp energy with Leo Cancer or Gemini Cancer energy. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for Cancer, aka the fourth house. All right, so now it looks like this one here could be describing a reconciliation. It also could be describing a new love altogether. And it seems to be also a rough sketch indicating someone, if there was obstructive interference in your relationship, emotionally departing and walking away from the connection too. It really feels like that because there's a higher degree of resonance around a reconciliation and or new love dynamically being felt here. So if the two of you are reconciling and coming together, or if you're new and just meeting and finding resonance here, a wish fulfillment in your connection, and you're moving forward in this reading, there's the Eight of Cups, so there's some sort of detachment while moving away, it looks like together, into a new beginning. So it gives like a hint that someone's energy that's almost barely felt here in the picture anymore, but is walking away and disconnecting from the connection, allowing your connection, your soulmate. Here's the clarifier that talks about a soulmate. Now here it says, let your friends help you. Let your friends help you. So it feels like this may be in the case of one of those third-party situations, the person's energy, I feel, emotionally detaching and walking away, which clarifies the justice, which could be something legal. Let your friends help you. It could be a legal concern or a legal dispute that you're able to resolve within the intimacy of your own family, within the two of you yourself, and or maybe some extended family, maybe some unbiased mediator, some counseling. For an example, a small intimate group, when it says let your friends help you. Otherwise, here on this stage here, it gives context to the justice, meaning that there could be some legalities going on, like maybe a divorce. Now again, maybe a marriage. The two of you meet up, get to know each other, etc., as described, or there's a reconciliation here. There may be a renewal of your vows, leaving the past behind you, learning those lessons to enhance your connection, and then together moving on towards your new beginning, refreshed and renewed in your connection. So there's a couple different variations in the storyline potential, but I hope I did okay to illustrate the framework here for new connections, reconciliations, and also releasing one's ex, releasing some obstructive interference described as either ex or maybe, some other pink elephants in the room. And that's what we have here. So honeymoon, past life relationship, letting go of control issues are clarifying this third placement that has the Eight of Cups and the Justice in the second position. Soulmate to clarify the Star and the Knight of Fire. And the first position, let your friends help you, clarifying the Queen of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords. Okay, so next we'll move to the third house, which is Gemini's house. Clarifiers, flirt, religious factors, flirt, heart-to-heart conversations, unrequited love, heart-to-heart conversations, attraction, heart-to-heart conversations, romantic feelings, attraction, Well, let's see here. So in this house right here, it looks like similar. Um, let's see here. Now, it looks like there's a reconciliation possibility in the air. Hmm. But yeah, it looks like a reconciliation possibility in the air. keep on saying that and then pausing. But it also looks like there's some indecision for a big part of this reading. I don't get any decisive feedback in this entire spread at the moment. Keeping in mind I do short-term energy reading as energy changes all the time. Even a simple thought is enough to change the trajectory and the way energy is moving. So I don't see any decisiveness at the moment. Coming on the stage with the Two of Swords clarified with the Four of Swords, it still represents some indecision here. Standing at a crossroad, maybe there's an ultimatum of sorts that Gemini and/or Gemini's person of interest is facing. So it has the Four of Swords, which is pointing me to the fact that twos represent balance within oneself, mentally speaking, especially, and fours represent balance within oneself and also with others as well. So it's like trying to get this mental clarity and, having the decisiveness is underway, like through prayer, meditation. For an example, is represented in the Four of Swords, logically getting like logistics together, strategizing, coming up with a method to address, what it is that they're standing in front of. Intuitively, they'll be able to decide which direction that they're going to go. It almost seems like as I progress forward in the reading, where I'm looking at the Knight of Fire and the Two of Pentacles exhibit that there's still some wavering at the very least, maybe some juggling, happening there as the energy is moving forward. The illustration kind of points toward the energy moving back to the first position, but that's relative, to the interpretation, to the subjectivity of the reading and context in your personal storyline, because I'm just trying to provide a rough sketch of framework for your storyline to fit here if it does, to see what resonates and what doesn't. So like potentially it looks like off the page like Gemini or Gemini's person of interest, due to having a lack of information, not having a hard yes or hard no, because having the indecision as described, it's like it's better to have it versus to cut it off and miss it later. It seems like that's the attempt to come back and salvage, and kind of like work on understanding or figuring whatever the Two of Sword energy is about, whatever the indecision is about, maybe even the ultimatum. It's almost like looking like it's better to have, to salvage this, than to move forward in a new beginning, in a new chapter without it. And even here with the Apprentice, which embodies a new beginning, is there, but then the Hermit is here that describes staying. There's not the release. It's an attempt to heal, kind of basically a major arcana describing this type of energy being alchemized, the Two of Swords and the Four of Sword type energy. So it's like not a complete release while moving into a new beginning. So it kind of gives this salvaging, coming back here to have a reconciliation, but not I don't have enough information to determine the outcome of the attempt to come out of the cold or to salvage. It almost reminds me of another house too, where we were seeing a salvage, similar to this one, someone salvaging something from the past and then, taking the time to refurbish it, to, restore it. And I forgot which house that was in, but I really did forgot. It might have been on the first part, the reading that we did 7 through 12. This is the second part. I'm working towards the first house. But so that's basically what I'm seeing here so far in this house for Gemini. Potential for reconciliation to be made, healing to be had, restoring something that once was lost or almost could be fading. Otherwise, we're looking at Gemini outside of that type of relationship context. We're looking at this third house like if it has to do with work, for an example, a project that they're working on. You know, they spend some time trying to develop a plan of what to do about a complicated situation, and it almost looks like they it seems like what they come out with is they need to work on all the plans. They're multitasking. There's a lot going on, and so they're multitasking, moving forward, keeping up with the timing. They have a timeline, a deadline, or at the very least some energetic body that's going to put things into its proper perspective, with the Justice card in the third position, which represents equitability, reciprocity, 50-50 give and take. It's also Libra's card, so love is there. Could also be some judicial legalities, some situation going, but it feels like, Gemini might not have all the answers immediately, but they're working on their plan, and they're working on, fleshing it out while moving it forward and multitasking and handling different things at the same time. And what else? The third house governs small groups and organizations like siblings or, community gatherings or community establishments, family like siblings or extended family, neighborhoods. The third house governs that. The third house governs information technology, communication. So like if there's something that Gemini wants to say, or in regard to communication in general, it looks like they don't have what they want to say quite ready yet. They might have an idea of what they want to say, but it looks like they want to refine it. They want to double check it. Like there's an understanding of once they say something, they can't take it back, so they want to think about it first before they just flippantly say anything. So, and it looks like depending on the formality or the expectations of what's said. For an example, if it is a legal document or something that might, be not only just under the eye of the recipient, the intended recipient, but maybe under a microscope of, a larger group. But for whatever reason, just governing what they say, how they say it, and then moving towards wanting to present it or to reconcile if it's like an olive branch. And it looks like potentially feeling prepared to go either direction. Like if they get a yes, then there's maybe some contingency plans based on getting a yes. Okay, if I get a yes, then this is possible, this is possible, that's possible. If I get a no, then we'll need to go in this direction, dot, dot, dot. Maybe that type of energy could be seen here. Okay, guys, thank you so much for your patience. We're going to move to our next house, which is Taurus's house, the second house, in just a moment. Hello, chat. Hi, Neon. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for your support on the video and on the channel. Thank you for interacting here as well. Okay, so there could be some cusp energy here with Taurus and Gemini, or maybe Taurus and Aries. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for Taurus, aka the second house. All right, so here in this reading for Taurus, wow, you know what's cool again is that for those of you who are aware of the Seven of Sword dynamic, you know that it's a distrustworthy embodiment, seeing the pay attention to the red flag clarifier come out. Yeah, after seeing that appear, but even before seeing those embodiments appear, just off the page, the original cards that laid out in the three positions, this position representing energies from the past, this one representing present energies, this position future energy. You have this Queen of Pentacles, very valuable embodiment, moving towards this Tower moment. So with the standard operating procedural format that I like to, the formula I like to use to look at the transformative body here, it's the tower, and then looking at the value that comes before the tower and assessing it, it's the Queen of Pentacles, very valuable embodiment, and look at the output and see if the value has diminished or whatever information can be seen. It's the Ten of Cups. So the Ten of Cups is also a very valuable embodiment. It's the cups are not seen on the totem pole of value as the most valuable, but then it's subjective, of course. But anyhow, so it will appear to be a diminished value here with the tower, you know. So one would ask, oh wow, why is the Queen of Pentacles moving toward a tower, you know, and surprisingly coming out with the Ten of Cups? So it's almost as if taking pleasure in the tower moment, or the tower moment being something within the plan. You know, the tower moment, something that did not devastate Taurus. So it's almost as if there's a hint of pay attention to the red flags and what is going on here. So as I started to clarify and get additional information, the Seven of Swords made an appearance, not to my surprise, based on what was seen up here. But what's interesting is that the Seven of Swords did make its appearance in the first position, which gives me, you know, feeling like, oh, so there was something that was premeditative, or at least something that was presumed to be, you know, maybe something shady in the milk up here. Yeah. But for all we know, you know, well, I was going to say this could be a person of interest in Taurus's atmosphere or energy. You know, maybe that's not Taurus. It could be Taurus moving with the Seven of Swords, you know, bringing about this tower moment in some way. Or it could be someone in Taurus's energy field coming towards them with the Seven of Swords and it backfiring, it looks like, because somebody is looking like they're, you know, not looking too bad, you know, was prepared for it, and actually taking pleasure and some sort of delight in it. It still looks like, yeah, I was going to say, there still looks like there may be some healing, but within this healing, they're caught up in the spirit with the Ten of Cups. So it's almost as if the healing is already had, and, you know, it will continue, but it's like a pleasurable healing. It feels like the type of healing of accomplishment, a type of healing like pat yourself on the back because you knew. So there have been a running storyline in the second house of tests, like Tauruses were testing their partner. Maybe their partner was testing Taurus. So, because they wanted to check and make sure that the person that they're have in mind for a certain surprise or blessing was the right surprise and the right blessing tailor fitted for them. So, that type of storyline, it provides resonance as to why seeing the Seven of Swords finally, and it looks like they're moving in with the surprise that they had been preparing for, and they were prepared for this, tower moment that happened. Let's see, the Queen of Fire points to the first house, which is Aries' house, which governs the self, and also Aries currently has some planet positions at the moment that could spark that type of energy. Let's see, there's an Aries, Neptune. Okay, so the sun is currently in Aries. No, that's not right. Neptune is currently in Aries. Yeah, Neptune and Saturn. Neptune and Saturn. So here's Neptune energy, the hangman. It points to the 12th house, Pisces house, and Saturn. Just feeling this tower, Mars type energy in Saturn, and that's in Aries, the first house too. So let's see. All right. But yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like. And so the clarifiers, pay attention to the red flag. Love yourself first, and you deserve love. So almost like the person who was able to really sustain and, come out of the tower moment with the Ten of Cups and the healing as described, but more expansively just caught up in the Ten of Cups while they're learning. It feels like a sense of accomplishment, etc. You deserve love. Almost like whatever happened, yeah, they deserve love. It reminds me of the wounded healer that's in the second house in retrograde, which is talking about the intense feelings of pain and angst of being uncomfortable, is intentionally to catalyze inward introspective raising of one's boundaries and value systems. Like everything that happened was meant to happen to bring about this type of epiphany and higher learning and understanding of the situation to raise value. You deserve love, and also love yourself first. Like as if this tower came about by somebody moving their energy out of a dynamic, and because they didn't have what it takes to support themselves, they didn't have enough love for themselves. But this is an objective way of looking at things. Thank you for your support on the video and on the channel. This is what I'm currently seeing in the second house to provide a rough sketch of framework so that if the reading resonates, you could lay your unique storyline there and get some context if it resonates. That's what I'm seeing for now. So we'll be moving to the next house, which is Aries house, in just a moment. So yeah, I almost forgot to say, when a particular sign is announced, that doesn't mean that that is their story. Every sign is present in a general reading. That's why I went to look at this pointing to Aries and looked at the planet positions. But also, it points to Leo, the 5th house, and Sagittarius, the 9th house. Aquarius with the 7 of Swords, potentially. Pisces we've seen here, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, another Taurus. So Aries, we mentioned Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. Everybody is here. Everyone's energy. Virgo, Taurus. Alright, but moving, there could be some cusp energy with Aries and a Taurus cusp, or Aries and a Pisces cusp. We'll be moving forward in just a moment. Okay. As far as pay attention to the red flags, express your love. Express your love, passion, attraction. Okay, so the first house, Aries house. Dear Holy Spirit, please give me a reading for Aries, aka the first house. Okay, so for Aries, aka the first house, it looks like there's potential that Aries has met someone new or getting closer to someone. So Aries, it could be another fire sign or could be an earth sign. We also have every other sign on the table. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, maybe a Pisces, Cancer, or a Scorpio. But all the signs are here. Anyhow, it looks like you could be getting closer to someone, starting a new chapter with them. And it looks like you could just be dating and spending some time getting to know one another. It seems like you have a pretty good connection so far. Something exciting, you know, refreshing, and seems like you guys get each other, you know, like have a really sublime connection and resonance around each other. Now, your connection could come about when you also have other potential love interests in your life and trying to decide whether or not this one is one that you should continue nurturing, or maybe if it's the other connection that you're in that you might want to nurture more. It seems like you guys are still getting to know each other and there's something very fresh and new about the connection. It's almost so fresh and new though that I don't see anyone letting go of it. Not now. No. It looks more like you're just getting relaxed around each other, opening up to the possibilities. Seems like there could be a little mismatch in age or something different about the two of you, status-wise, uh, generational, like certain norms that you guys did might be opposites attract in a way, but it feels like it, brings about a new dynamic in your connection, so it feels like it's worth exploring. So I'm going to pull some clarifiers to get more information or see if what I said will be confirmed. Let's see what happens. Maybe I'll be redirected. That says flirt. Worth waiting for. Let's see. Let your friends help you. Romantic feelings, attraction, and retreat. So yeah, I feel like that's a confirmation. And where it said let your friends help you and all of that was kind of background atmosphere energy, but I think it more so points to there could be some differences in you and your partner that, could bring about some dissonance sometimes, but with the, like, you might ask your friends to help you, or like do some research to kind of bridge the gap if there is like an age difference, generational or societal norm difference, like some research, or asking some friends or associates like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And they might say, oh yeah, according to that custom, that's actually normalized. And oh yeah, because my custom, that's not really a thing. But I'm just using a real rough hypothetical to kind of color that frame. But that's what we have here, coming to the end of the 12 houses we've gone through so far, and we'll have returned to the first house. So we'll come back as soon as possible to update the readings. And until next time, peace. I'm going to go back to the table there to pick it up and prepare to move into our next reading request. All right. So yeah, thank you guys who have stopped by, and for some of you that have some questions, some reading requests, appreciate the inspiration to open up a yes/no reading stream. The generals are the priority, so I really appreciate the encouragement to do that. It helps me move through the 12 houses, as I'm anticipating doing the free readings as soon as possible. So heart-to-heart conversations, flirt, are making an appearance in the oracle deck. Heart-to-heart conversations very soon. Heart-to-heart conversations, deception. Two of Swords here. Clarifying the High Priestess. So yeah, pay attention to red flags. Pay attention to your intuition for deception. There's also chemistry making an appearance in the oracle deck. So it suggests like there's a lot of chemistry, but don't be blinded. It's also saying worth waiting for, which is what we're picking up here. Worth waiting for, worth getting to know one another. Okay. All right. So now ready to close this up. Taking a look at your questions and comments in the chat. Hey guys. Okay, great. So yeah, those of you who have had some questions here, I hope to see you on the free reading for subscribers, the yes or no streams that we have here. And you'll see that yes or no in the title when that stream appears. So thank you for making all of that possible with your support in this video and on the channel. Signing off for now. Until next time. Peace.